Yeah. So, welcome to the Oblivion Gallery. It's our first Saturday opening, part of the Art Hop as well. And this month and next month we have the Museum of Techno Art, traveling group art show. A variety of really incredible artists and friends who have populated pretty much the whole gallery with their work. So, a lot to see and take in, and we're honored to be able to have people come and some of the artists come and tell us about their work, tell us about their process. Open for questions and answers. It's a pretty casual format. There's not a lot of us, so feel free to just pop in if you've got a question that comes up for you. And artists who are speaking, this is our slapped together. It's a lapel mic, but since we have multiple artists talking, we sort of improv that.
All
so,
right. Very good.
Joe Moroz.
Hi, I'm Joe Moroz. Thank you all for coming to this. So we just wanted to introduce us. We're the Museum of Techno Art, and that should be a building somewhere, but we thought that would be cool to name a collective after that. So it's we're kind of the opposite of a building. We're just moving around from one space to the next, and that's been working really well because we keep getting invited back to places. And this is our first time here at Oblivion, officially. I want to thank Judd and Renee for inviting us. So the Museum of Techno Art is essentially our theme, the way I understand it, in my head. Everyone kind of takes their own approach with it. But, we're at the intersection between humanity and machinery, especially right now in these times. And so I think it's really appropriate that we're reflecting on that. And each of us is reflecting on it in our own way. To talk about humans and the inventions that we have made over time. And so that's essentially, in a nutshell, what we're about is looking at alternative pasts, alternative futures, alternative presents, and anything around that. So it's pretty open, but we do have a kind of a specific core ideal, I think, that unites all of our work. And so that's been really fun to explore along those lines. And so every year we have a separate theme, a specific theme for the shows. Instead of having a different name for each show, we decided we would call that year's tour by a certain name. So this year is Exostoria Mechanica. So it's kind of like a false. Exostoria is, I just kind of built these two words out of, exo being outside of or beyond, and storia meaning histories or different narratives. So like stories from the beyond is kind of how you can think about it, whatever that means to you. And the idea was to kind of create if you can imagine, going into the back room of an old museum, old brick building, and finding all these old crates of forgotten artifacts, and you open them up and you find these things. And so that was kind of like to come up with a false scientific discipline that kind of encapsulated this theme. So anyway, that's what I think we're doing, and everyone else can say what they think we're doing. Rob?
Sure. At a potluck, I'll be the first person to head for the food, just to relieve everybody else of the awkwardness of having to do that. You're welcome. Well, I discovered, I'm Robert Bullman. I did this piece here and a few others. In the 90s, I had a career as a builder, and in the 90s I discovered green building, and I kind of glommed onto it as an activist cause. Started doing these interesting buildings, and I started what went on to become Maitreya Eco-Village here in Eugene. And the more I thought about sustainability, the more deeply I looked into it, the more I started to scratch my head and say, wait a minute now. How are we going to achieve this sustainability thing? Because people will often misuse the word sustainability. They'll say, for example, sustainably harvested lumber. And lumber may be harvested in a manner that's gentle for the forest ecosystems, and that's good. But for lumber to be sustainably harvested, not only would the chainsaws and the logging trucks have to be running on something other than fossil fuels, the chainsaws and logging trucks would have to be manufactured with something other than fossil fuels. And when you consider the intense thermal energy required to make a large metal object like a logging truck, it's just not at all clear how we're going to do this. The fossil fuels have been a fantastic boon to this enterprise called civilization. And as our magnificent leaders have started a new war in Iran, as the Strait of Hormuz is getting choked off and the last of the oil tankers are going to arrive in the United States in a week or two, we're going to find out what it's like to have our oil severely diminished and what that has meant to this entire unwieldy juggernaut enterprise called modern industrialized civilization. The good news, though, is that we will achieve complete and total sustainability. There's not one shred of doubt about this. Whatever we don't do voluntarily, we will do involuntarily. And geology and the laws of physics do not care how unhappy or inconvenienced we might be with the outcome. So anyway, my work talks about this thing called civilization. It's wondrous, it's amazing, it's brought us such amazing comfort and entertainment, but it's also utterly unsustainable unless some kind of a miracle happens. And the two miracles I could think of would be something that would genuinely replace the fossil fuels, and it's not solar panels, it's not wind turbines. Those produce electricity. Now, all the solar panels and wind turbines on Earth won't produce one thimbleful of gasoline or diesel fuel. And while the climate change activists like to say that if it weren't for those nefarious fossil fuel companies, we'd be switching over to all these renewable energy sources, what they don't factor in is that fossil fuels are really, really good at doing all kinds of things for which electricity, whether it's wind, solar, nuclear, or hydro, is less well suited. And so, for example, trucking, mining, aviation, clearly, the manufacturing, the smelting and processing of metals. Hi, Matt. Yeah, these are all things that are going to be difficult to do without these fossil fuels. So anyway, this piece here perhaps epitomizes my work more than the other ones here. It's all about this, it's meant to be like a vortex of all this industrially manufactured stuff swirling around, preparing to go down the drain. It's called round and round and round we go. And anyway, and the other pieces, they're just further focusing on, I do two large bodies of work. I do steel things made entirely out of recycled steel. Brand new steel is very energy intensive to produce, so I kind of don't want to use it from an environmental point of view. But recycled steel, you can kind of use it with a clean conscience because there's a lot of it out there and you can just scavenge it off of the soon to be rotting corpse of civilization. Yeah, I did the crown.
Do you want to wear it?
Not especially. Although others here are welcome to try on the crown, and I should warn you that heavy is the crown. And then, well, the piece back there is the one that looks like an American flag. That's of particular significance right now. We have another one of these silly, stupid, unnecessary wars going on. But meanwhile, I want to tell people we have bigger fish to fry than to continue fighting these stupid wars. We have two adversaries. They're coming right toward us right now, and they're more fanatical than Al-Qaeda, more bloodthirsty than ISIS, more tenacious than the Taliban. These two adversaries are called geology and the laws of physics. And if we don't deal with these, they're going to deal with us. And they do not care how unhappy or inconvenienced we might be with the outcome. Anyway, I've always thought I should have a solar-powered mechanical wagging index finger to accompany me while so I guess I've wagged my index finger enough, and thank you for being here, everybody. Alan.
Breathe.
Okay, I'm the new kid on the block in terms of being enmeshed with the local art scene. It's been joined MTA a little over a year ago. I get a random phone call from Steve Lirici. I was like, "Oh, I looked at your stuff and it's kind of interesting. Can we talk?" And like, "No, why would I want to do that?" Just jumped on it. Saw this opportunity, and I really adore you guys and ladies in this group. They're just very inspirational to me. Just every day I think about it, it's like some of Max's work, or just individual pieces will stick, and it's like, that's such an honor to be part of that. I'm doing my thing. I've been doing art since mid-'80s, but I worked most of my life, I'm one of the bad guys, by the way, most of my life as a mechanical engineer. Worked in the lasers and photonics industry, and it can be good, put to good uses, and it can be put to military uses, which a small company just up the road is now sold to General Atomics, another great friend of ours. But I learned a lot. It was good in my psyche because I'm very mechanically oriented. Even as we taught, things were taken apart. How does this work? I was one of those kids, and by the time I was 11, I was able to actually put stuff back together, So the toaster pops the toast up. The bicycle rear hub is, I'm able to put it together again and ride my bike, So it's kind of very hands-on type of guy. So I guess that said, I see the part of leveraging off what Rob has said. I really take it to heart that firsthand in industry, it can go a lot of different ways. It can go responsibly, and we can heal the planet. We can do that. I know we can do that, because as I used to say, my early 20s, studying physics and stuff, you can't fight physics. I'm a bike rider too, bicycle rider, so you learn all about physics when you or hit a tree on a mountain bike or whatever. So it's a very strong, powerful force out there that's around us at all times. But getting back to Rob and working in industry, I see this huge buildup of throw money at it technology. You think Steve Jobs and Mac computers, just the whole hundreds of people working in R&D because there's a market idea over here, and we're just going to throw everything at it. So while you throw everything at it, there's material, there's talent, there's thought, there's engineering, science, where science knows this much, but there's stuff up here that's unknown, and they're always on that threshold of going to the unknown. And that's something I'm very fascinated with. It's a little bit different topic. But what I saw, and earlier before engineering, is working as a machinist. So I get raw blocks of aluminum, stick it into CNC, tighten the vise so it stays, push the button, and then it just makes something, and you make hundreds of pieces, and you get hundreds of pounds of chips, or a scrap piece, you get this chunk that, I can't sell that to the customer, doesn't meet spec. But sometimes somebody like me comes along, or you guys, and you go, can I have that? And put it over here and use it for art or whatever. So that's kind of my background, and I retired about 4 years ago. But so what happened between mid-'80s to 2022? Well, I probably made 2 or 3 pieces per year. It exhibited mostly at Mod Kearns, an annual members exhibit, Day of the Dead stuff. But I've always been crafting something new, but not very what do you call productive, not making dozens of pieces per year, not anything like Mr. Turner here seems to crank them out one after another. But now that I'm at a point, like 2 years ago, I just kind of went from 3rd gear to 10th gear, just put my foot down and said, all right, I'm going to really do this, both technically, aesthetically, and just pushing the boundaries of what I can do in metalwork. Working as a machinist, I weld, they do all kinds of stuff, but like this guy right here is like, it was 150% of my skills, but I'm so happy that it actually kind of came together. It's not perfect, but it just drives me to be able to do that and just I can't think of anything else. I have to do this, and that's how it works. But to be able to weld and cut out stuff and have a plan, it's a gift, and it's one I like to share because I think everybody has some creative index, whether they make cards or painting or remodeling a house or making a carpet or a couch, whatever. You just do it. Just get out there and do it. So I gave myself carte blanche a couple of years ago. Just all right. Just don't worry about it. Just do what you want to do. How am I? Word count. How am I doing? Next. Are we ready for next? Okay, I'm going to wrap it up because I'll go on for hours. But thank you for your time and thank you for being here. Yes.
Thanks, Dale. All right, let's see how this thing works. If I can make it work. I'll hold on to my golden egg. I'll make it easier. I'm Max. I have 4 pieces spread on the walls here. Got one over there, one up there, over there, over there. That's all I brought for this show. And so where to begin? Oh, some minor biography, I guess. Again, another one of these guys who started as a bicycle fanatic and then a car fanatic, and had all of my various acquaintances with fabrication and metalwork through that. And then significantly later, probably when I was 35, 40, I kind of started exploring that in the artistic side of things, taking those same skills and like, okay, let's do something different with sheet metal or welding, etc. I'd be happy to talk to anybody after if there's any questions on that. And kind of in tune with what Rob has expounded upon, what Alan has talked about, when you do, like, I don't know, I think for some of us, we come from this industrial setting. That's our background, but there's also this artistic sensibility that's coming from somewhere. And so one becomes more sensitive to, where does all this material come from? What does it take for it actually to arrive in our shops, whether it's fresh from the mill or whether it's a piece of scrap that might be 100 years old or more? What went into all that and what goes into keeping the whole system afloat currently? And yeah, I'm just winging it here. So, but basically where I've come to with the pieces that are here for this show, this one was from 2018. I finished it, started it before COVID, but finished it after. And that I think of now as my kind of COVID piece. And so that and the other 3 are really, as much as anything else, I see them now as just kind of emotional self-portraits. There's been a whole bunch of horror going on forever, right? But the specifics of what happened during the pandemic or the scare, or however you want to look at that, and then what's been happening since, with the resource wars just getting more in your face, less pretenses, which in a way I guess is good, that at least the masks are off now. But I'm not going to say too much about politics because I'll just end up seeming hypocritical to myself and to undoubtedly someone else. I don't think there's any way to avoid that in the position that we are in society, all of us. Just my 2 cents. And the other pieces are, they're like, I didn't start out thinking, they were just technical experiments, these textures and shapes in the other pieces. What are the limits of the material? Hi, Barbara.
I was just wondering if there
Yeah, it's all handwork. All of that texture is handwork. Yeah. Yeah. And that's all freehand, just TIG on the little guys on that one. So yeah, they started as technical exercises, but ended up, I'm like, yeah, this is how I actually feel. This is how living in this world right now makes me feel at a quite fundamental level. So it's the only way I have to express that. If I try and put it into words, I can't do it. So yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it there. Gonna leave it there.
Hello, I'm Neil. I'm the neon guy here. I've known Steve for probably 20-something years, and he's sponsored me, I mean, in a way, so I probably wouldn't consider myself to be technological on the forefront of that, except that, you know, I'm in a world where LEDs are coming out and a lot of people are experimenting with different kinds of lighting, and so that's not, I don't mind that term. I don't mind using that expression. And of course, I like the fact that he incorporates some of my stuff into his pieces so that, you know, anybody here wants to do some crazy stuff, talk to me, because that's my sort of my background thing. I support myself by making signs. So I have the ability. I'm not saying that I pull it off, but if I was more business-minded, I could probably be a lot more comfortable right now. And so I'm able to make a lot of goofy things in my free time. So if you look at these faces, I think everybody knows what a continuous line drawing is, so you don't take your pencil off the paper. Those are both kind of the same guy. And the thing I'd just like you to know is that they're whimsical. I know it. I mean, I don't think that they're anything all that exciting. And they're fairly straightforward to make, so that one of the things that I want to be able to do is to have an idea, turn it into something without a lot of effort. So if you were to look at this piece over in the corner, that's a lot of effort. That, you know, I made and remade and screwed around with stuff, and I've got some aluminum, and I figured out, or I learned how to put a patina on it, and it's that, you know, that's thousands of, you know, I would ask for thousands versus hundreds for these things here. But I think that if I was to have to say what I need to do, it would be the whimsical, silly little things that remind me of being given a crayon and a piece of paper. And that's where we want to, I always want to be able to say, I mean, I think that's where everything else comes from. And so that the labor intensity of my particular the medium is daunting to some people, and that there's so much time that it takes to bend glass into different shapes and to figure out how you're going to mount it. And now that we've gotten onto a ecological theme, so it seems like everybody wants to talk about ecology, I will say that everything I use, unlike LEDs, everything I use does come kind of naturally and can be reclaimed. Sometimes there's a little dollop of mercury in some of the colors that we do. So that, I just want everyone to know, is probably the only thing I can think of that makes what we do not recyclable. But like everyone else in this room, I've gone out. I don't know if you all remember Schnitzer Steel, but I used to walk through there all the time, and there'd be all these things that were cut out from other kinds of things, and I was thought that I would be inspired by all of that. I think nowadays I would prefer to start with an image and then make something that sort of fits instead of, I don't know, I was in love with the idea of found object art, and I think most of the time the objects that I found were dictating more, you know, to what I made than to what I was picturing. So that's my take on the current ecological environment. I can't say that I'm contributing to any kind of, you know, real waste, but I'm not sure that it's more or less neutral to me where it comes out. But I've been in Eugene a long time, and I feel I'm as aligned, I think, as anyone in the room with a continued whatever we call sustainability, a continued effort to renew and to use a lot less of the things that are just causing, you know, war and strife and stupidity. I know that there's 1,000 questions that people generally have, and you may not be the ones, but if you have questions, it's a weird medium. There's a lot of weird, tricky stuff to it, but it's also an amazing thing to me that you can draw in light, and that I can't think of anything more suitable for a person of my temperament. I happened upon it in a very fortuitous way, and I didn't grow up thinking I would have anything to do with this kind of medium. I thought I would be, I don't really know what I thought as a boy. There's lots of different ideas, but this wasn't one of them. So if you can ask me, you don't have to do it now, but I'm open to explaining any of it. And like I say, if you have any background idea, there's nothing, things like this I can do, and I try to make sure that I have blocks of time to do simple and little, almost throwaway things. So I've got a shop that's full of things that I experimented on. They didn't work out very well. There's, and they're still there because I've just got this big pile of stuff that I don't have the heart to throw away. But they aren't successful pieces, except to say that I learned maybe what not to do or how to do something else better. But just to go back to that original premise, if we could make every kid spend 10 minutes with a crayon and a piece of paper every morning, it's got to be early in the morning, and then I think the whole world would come out so much better. Thank you.
This is cute. Do I need this stinking mic?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's what it is. Wait, you think it was a magic wand here? All right, thank you. I'm Steve Laricchia, president of the Museum of Techno Art. I want to thank Judd Turner and his wife Renee to host us for this month and next month. So next month we are going to, since we're here for 2 months, we're going to update the show for May. So we'll have some different pieces in here. So please come on out for that, and we'll do another talk. Maybe talk about something different. I want to thank our artists, Joe and Neil and Rob and Max and Barbara and Alan for helping this come together the way it has. It's really unique, as Joe mentioned earlier. It's really great how the Museum of Techno Art has worked out. We are sort of a roving, traveling gallery. Like I said, we will be here for May. So again, for the Fresher Show, another. Some of the same pieces might be here, but we'll bring in some newer work. After that, we'll be at the Emerald Art Center in June. And in July, we'll be at the venue on Broadway, which is located next to Voodoo Donuts. And August and September, we'll be at the Janky Bird in Brownsville, Oregon. And in September, October, we'll be at the Mind Power Gallery in Reedsport, Oregon. That leaves a few more months for the rest of the year. We might find some other places that say, hey, come and show us. We actually have some work. It's up for a few more weeks. We have work at the gallery at the airport right now, and a great place to exhibit work. A lot of travelers, international travelers. One person we are missing here today is Ralph Huber. He's another one of our members. I want to thank Ralph too for exhibiting with us. A couple other things we have going with the Museum of Techno Art as a sponsor and a host is in June, we're going to have a series of workshops. And if you're all interested in this, come by, pick up one of these flyers. We're going to do a workshop at the venue at Broadway, which is again located next to Voodoo Donuts. In the month of June, we're going to do a series of 3 workshops. It's really just one workshop, but it's 3 Saturdays. And we have items, and it's called Reclaimed. And we have items donated from Dot Dotson, a lot of old camera gear and stuff like that, lenses and stuff. Next Step, a lot of vintage electronic stuff, parts. MEPA, who is they're a musical nonprofit organization. They're going to be donating a bunch of old musical instruments and parts. And so we're going to have these series of workshops where people are interested in making something. It'll be 3 Saturdays, 4 hours at the venue at Broadway. Maddie, the proprietor there, she has 3D printers, laser cutters, because some of the, when you're building some of these contraptions or whatever, or works of art, one of the hardest parts, we might have all this neat stuff to build. The hardest part is attaching them without using hot glue. And so if we have to, Maddie can make a 3D bracket. I'll bring in brackets or hinges or whatever. We'll have drills or screws and 2-part epoxies to solidly connect something there. People have asked, are we going to do any welding? No, we're not going to do no welding. We got JB Weld. We'll use that. But the plan is to do these series of workshops. We only want to have about 8 people, and the pieces that are produced at this workshops, we want to show them at our July show, Museum of Techno Art, at the venue on Broadway. So you're even going to get a show out of from this workshop, and Alan will be assisting us a little bit. Maybe Barbara might assist us, and so you're going to have some good things coming out of this. What else am I missing? Oh, that's Mecca. Okay, yes. Thank you, Judd. So there's another workshop, not as detailed or as complicated as the one we want to do in June. They'll be at Mecca. That's 2 weeks from today. It's just a 1-day, 3-hour event, and they call it analog assemblage. And it'll be more simplified with some of the stuff that they have there. I'm going to try to bring in some stuff for them so they can expand from their bottle caps and corks and other stuff, yeah, they probably will use hot glue. But I think I'll bring in some fast set 2-part epoxy so that that will work out. So that's 2 weeks from today, Saturday. You can get all the information from Mecca for the reclaimed workshop that I'm doing with Maddie at the venue on Broadway. We do have some information here, and I do have flyers here. God, what am I missing? Again, I won't describe any of my pieces. If you're interested in seeing my pieces, I can talk to you, and the other artists can talk about their particular arts after our talk here. I do have one contraption that's playing videos, has a Jacob's Ladder. Another contraption that'll tell your future if you dare. It's a fortune teller. And there's many other wonderful pieces here that you should take a good look at them all. And come back next month for a fresh look at the Museum of Techno Art. If you have any questions, you can ask us individually. If they have one quick question right now, if not, just ask one of our artists. If not, thank you for coming out. Happy Easter, if you're into that sort of thing. And we have a question, I think. No, she said she wants to be quiet today. So, nice try. If that's it, let's call it a wrap. Thank you. You're so cute.